Good morning, it's FloorDaily.net, and I'm Kemp Harr. This morning, my guest is Kirk Sandifer, the president and CEO with Cain Bultman. Kurt, how you doing?
I'm doing great this morning, Kemp. How are you?
I'm good. We got a lot to talk about. I want to talk to you today about this news that you've got a new relationship with Tarkett. We'll get to that in just a minute. Little background. Cain Bultman is a distributor based in Jacksonville, Florida, with a 3-state area. You got Florida, Georgia, and Alabama. And I was looking at your logo. It's kind of an Art Deco logo. It's got a little bit of a timelessness to it. But this company's been around since, 1924?
1924. I think the company started as Cain Radio Company.
Oh, okay.
We were a radio parts and repair company.
Okay, and so your dad worked there in sales and your uncle, Mike, and as things have evolved, your father passed away 14 years ago, Mike became the leader, and you worked there for a while in sales and left, got in the financial services business for about 5 years. And then Mike called you, the uncle, and said, hey, come back, we need you, and this is where you are now, right?
That is correct. The only thing I would correct you on is I was actually gone for 15 years.
Oh, okay.
But, upon my father's passing, Mike asked me to come back and lead the sales side of our company.
All right. And you're a Florida Gator as well. That's where you went to college.
Definitely a Florida Gator, that's for sure, through good and through bad.
Yeah. All right. Tell us how business is doing.
Business has been very, very robust. I think we all are very aware of the chain supply disruption and how hard it is to source product. But at the end of the day, the state of distribution has been very robust, throughout the last year and a half. Mm-hmm. I do know that there's been a lot of movement in distribution this year and probably the last couple of years.
Right.
But at the same time, where there's consolidation and some companies are getting bigger and bigger, most of the distributors that I communicate with week in and week out, they've had a record year in 2021, and really so is Cain Bultman. Yeah. Where distribution seems somewhat scary and lost at times, we do fill a very valuable service to local retailers.
Yeah.
And it's challenging for sure, but it's also healthy. And I believe that those who plan on succeeding, they have to have a strategic plan for growth, year in and year out. You can never take a break.
Right.
That's what I'm finding. You need to have a very well-diversified portfolio of product lines to kind of balance out what you can sell and what's in favor and what's not. And quite frankly, your logistical services must be best in class, because that's the only real difference we offer to the independent retailers in each region. Yeah. If you're not as good as the big boys, Shaw and Mohawk, you're not going to win market share.
Right. One of the things I was noticing by looking at your website is that you don't really, you have Tarkett and you have Armstrong as some of the brands there, but it looks like you've gone mostly private label, haven't you?
We have. Cain Bultman, really, we've been known as a branded company, our entire life.
Yeah.
Even well before we were known as a flooring distributor, we were the Zenith television distributor.
Yeah.
We've always had a big brand, so we believe in the brand.
Right.
But, we find that private label allows us to select products that we determine are very suitable for our marketplace. And it does give us a little bit of anonymity to the market. It allows us to sell our customers under a private label. Our private label happens to be Norwood Hill Flooring. Mm-hmm. Norwood Hill Sandifer was my grandfather, who went to work for Mr. Cain and Mr. Bultman in 1932 and bought the company from Mr. Bultman in 1959. So I've repurposed his first and middle name as our trademark. We now have SPC under the Norwood Hill brand. We have wood, we have laminate, and we do quite well with it. It does allow us to sell in the south and the coastal areas of Georgia and Florida exactly the products that our customers are really demanding.
Do you source that from overseas, or do you buy it from an importer?
We are not the importer of record of any of our products today.
Okay.
That does not mean we have not been the importer of record in the past, but in the current state, our partners fluctuate just depending on what they can source and what they can bring to us. But we do, in the wood lineup, we typically have between 4 and 6 sources to fill out our Norwood Hill brand, and then we choose and select partners in SPC as well as laminated.
One of the things I want to point out is that as you look at the Bravo, most people know there was an original 13 distributors that were very loyal to Armstrong. You're one of those Bravo distributors. And so, this news is noteworthy, raises an eyebrow with some folks that you're bringing in Tarkett. So talk about that decision.
It's a very difficult decision, and I hate to be the third generation to make these decisions, but the truth of the matter is we have had a very storied relationship with Armstrong starting in 1935. So 87 years of continual service and dedication, and quite frankly, Armstrong has been in our DNA for a long time. We didn't just sell them as a manufacturer. They were really they were our persona as Cain Bultman. That's how much of a partner in business we are to all of our manufacturers, but especially our oldest. But, Armstrong, very notably, has stated a change in strategy to go to market.
Yep.
They are servicing the largest national accounts, not only in our region, but throughout North America. And that affects our business. And that started 3 years ago when Michelle Vermette, explained very upfront with all distribution that there is a competitive nature that they need to fill to be competitive with the Shaws and the Mohawks of the world. But at the same time, some of those direct targets or those direct accounts are our largest accounts, and they've been our largest accounts for decades. So when you look at the strategy, you have to ask yourself, how do I recoup the business that I'm going to lose to the direct division at Armstrong? And we happened to meet with Tarkett 2 years ago, so this has been a very slow courtship.
Yeah.
And over the 2 years, the executives at Tarkett North America have really expressed a recommitment to distribution. Although you don't truly believe it because you see what you're going through now, and in the end, over a long period of time, and with trust built, we made the decision. I made the decision on behalf of Cain Bultman to make a quantum leap. And before I did so, I got the approval from the board, and it was unanimous. Change is difficult, but sometimes when you don't see any other path, you have to choose the best path for your company, and you got to lead your company through it, the change. And although it's been very new, we trained our sales team last week, and this is the first week they've been in the field. The customers out there, they respect our decision, and they understand our decision. And I do believe that, that Armstrong, both Michelle and Brent Flaherty, they understand. They may not agree, but they understand. And so we are servicing both companies, and we are partners in business. We will never disparage any manufacturer that we represent, and we will give both of them the best we can for as long as we can. And I know that that's probably not a long-term solution for either of us. More than likely, Armstrong will find a solution, and they will move forward.
Yeah, okay. So what's your outlook for 22? You think it's going to continue to be strong?
Well, I do. Throughout the change, it's hard to really feel real comfortable about your financial budget and your sales budget.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I do believe that the market is still in great demand. So the customers are still asking for it. And if we could get it faster, we could sell more. We do believe it's another robust year. I do believe Cain Bultman internally will have some disruption. I do believe we'll have excessive business in the first half of the year and then normal business in the second half of the year. But overall, we have not seen the demand slow down from our customers. If we can source it, we can sell it.
How does your mix break out as far as commercial to residential?
So I would say our commercial to residential probably is 45% commercial and 55% residential. Although I always have a problem with the commercial residential tag. We do a tremendous amount of 6 and 12 mil multifamily LVT, both new construction and what we call inventory turns or management turns.
Right.
That new construction I consider commercial, but because it's a 6 mil or a 12 mil, the manufacturers label it as residential. If you flip that over, it might be just the opposite. It might be 55 commercial and 45 residential, but it's almost even, and that's a healthy spot to be in.
All right, Kirk, I appreciate you spending time with us and telling us what's been going on with Cain Bultman. Again, been talking to Kirk Sandifer, the CEO, and you've been listening to Kemp Harr and FloorDaily.net.